They said he was too small, too shy, and far too fragile to ever survive the brutal world of professional football. Scouts dismissed him, doubters laughed at him, and even doctors told him his body wasn't built for the sport. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't outspoken, and he certainly didn't look like the future face of football. But the moment Lionel Messi touched the ball on the pitch, all those doubts melted away. His balance, his dribbling, his vision, it was as if the game bent itself to his will. From being a young boy in Rosario, rejected because of a rare growth hormone deficiency, to standing toe-to-toe with billion-dollar clubs and rewriting football history, Messi's journey wasn't just unlikely, it was almost impossible. Every step of his rise was a fight against the odds, a battle against those who said no. So how did this quiet, humble kid transform into the greatest player the game has ever seen? To answer that, we must rewind time and return to where it all began, the dusty streets of Rosario, Argentina. Doctors once told a young Lionel Messi something no child with dreams should ever hear. He won't grow like the other kids. He won't be able to play sports professionally. For a boy filled with fire and obsession for football, those words felt like a death sentence. But Messi didn't let them define him. At just 5 years old, he joined a tiny local club called Grandali. In his very first game, he scored within minutes. His grandmother, Celia, was the one who took him to every training, stood by every touchline, and clapped louder than anyone in the stands. She believed in him when nobody else did. When she passed away tragically, when Messi was just 10, it left a hole in his heart. "Every goal I score is for my grandmother," Messi later revealed. That's why, to this day, after every goal, he points to the sky, a tribute to the first person who truly believed in him. By age 7, Messi joined Newell's Old Boys, the very same club that once had Diego Maradona. He wasn't just good, he was unstoppable. Locals nicknamed him La Pulga, the Flea, because of his tiny size and the way he weaved past defenders like a blur. He scored over 100 goals a season, so many that rival teams sometimes refused to play if they knew Messi was in the lineup. He wasn't just a kid playing football. He was already a nightmare for opponents. But at age 10, the dream nearly ended. Messi was diagnosed with a rare growth hormone deficiency. The treatment costs $1,500 per month, an impossible amount for his working-class family in Rosario. The boy who had magic in his feet was suddenly staring at the end of his footballing journey before it had even begun. His dream was collapsing, yet Messi never lost hope. His father, desperate, started sending videos of his son's brilliance to European clubs. In one of those tapes, Barcelona scout Carles Rexach saw Messi juggling with both feet, knees, and head, barely letting the ball touch the ground. His response was immediate: "Sign him, right now." And so, in one of the most legendary moments in football history, Messi's first contract with Barcelona's academy was scribbled onto a napkin in a restaurant. With that napkin, destiny changed forever. Messi left Argentina with his father, saying goodbye to his family, his friends, his culture, everything he knew, just to chase a dream in Spain. At La Masia, Barcelona's famed academy, Messi barely spoke. The other kids called him El Mudo, the mute, but while he stayed silent with words, he spoke through the ball. Coaches said it was as if the ball was glued to his feet, listening only to him. He'd dribble past 4 or 5 players, score, and calmly walk back as if nothing had happened. Barcelona knew they had discovered something out of this world. The club agreed to pay for his expensive treatment. Every night, Messi injected himself, and every day he trained like a soldier. They were building something unstoppable. Coaches quickly realized Messi wasn't just special, he was different. You couldn't read him, you couldn't control him, he was unpredictable, untouchable, unstoppable. Soon the world would realize what Rosario had given birth to, a boy who would crumble football's greatest giants, and eventually rise to become the greatest of all time. At just 16, Lionel Messi walked into a training session with Barcelona's senior squad and humiliated seasoned professionals. He was a skinny teenager, but his feet moved like lightning, and his control of the ball left veterans in disbelief. "We knew then he was different. A freak," recalled Xavi, a Barcelona legend. A year later, at only 17, Messi stepped into the spotlight, making his official debut against Albacete. That night he scored his very first Barcelona goal, assisted by his idol Ronaldinho. His first strike was ruled offside, but Leo, in the exact same move, finished with perfection, and this time it counted. His celebration was pure, Messi, no arrogance, no theatrics, barely a smile, just a nod, as if to say this is only the beginning. Yet despite that brilliance, critics circled, too small, too fragile, too quiet. They claimed he lacked the charisma to lead, and dismissed him as a backup option, overshadowed by the superstars of the time: Ronaldinho, Henry, and Ito. What the world failed to see was that Barcelona had just unleashed the most dangerous footballer of his generation, behind closed doors. In the strategy rooms of Barcelona, Johan Cruyff and a young Pep Guardiola were watching him closer than anyone else. They didn't see a fragile boy, they saw a weapon. Pep was convinced Messi wasn't just a footballer, He was a system, a team, a revolution waiting to happen. He envisioned a squad built entirely around Messi's strengths, a midfield designed to feed him, turning him into a relentless goal-scoring machine. Messi is untouchable, Guardiola would later say in 2008, a statement that still holds true. The signs of what was coming were already there. Against Juventus, the teenager shredded world-class defenders apart, leaving Fabio Capello stunned. Who is this kid? Capello demanded, desperate to sign him. Barcelona refused, knowing they were sitting on a lottery ticket no amount of money could buy. Messi's rise accelerated in the Champions League clash against Chelsea. His dribbling drove the defense insane, and Asier del Horno, unable to cope, repeatedly hacked at him until he earned a red card. Messi limped off injured, but the damage was done. He had made his mark. The English press, once doubtful, now spoke his name in whispers of awe. Soon after, he scored a goal that would echo through football history. Against Getafe, Messi picked the ball up near the halfway line, danced past defender after defender, faked a shot that sent the goalkeeper crashing to the ground, and calmly finished. It was a carbon copy of Maradona's legendary 1986 goal, but this time it belonged to a boy who wasn't yet 20. Barcelona won 5-2, but only that single godlike goal was remembered. In 2006, with Ronaldinho absent, Messi stepped into the spotlight. Against Zaragoza, he didn't score, he didn't assist, but everything on the pitch went through him. He led, he dictated, and suddenly, the game was his. He made the impossible look simple. Opponents tried marking him, coaches drew up entire blueprints just to stop him, but it was pointless. Messi was like a storm tearing through defenses, impossible to contain. Still, the world hadn't fully realized what it was witnessing. They were watching football's brightest era unfold before their eyes, living through history without even knowing it. But the true arrival, the moment the thunder finally struck, wouldn't come in training grounds or minor matches. It would come in the most brutal battleground of all, El Clásico against Real Madrid's billion-dollar goal. 19 years old, a boy from Rosario, now marching into war against football's most powerful empire. Ronaldo was losing his shine, Ricard was under pressure, and Ronaldinho was carrying injuries. The veterans looked exhausted, Barcelona was trembling, and the empire felt like it was collapsing. Camp Nou, once the cathedral of magic, was growing quieter by the week. The magic is dying, the media cried. The team was staggering, and the faithful feared the end of an era. But then, from the shadows, a quiet boy with dreams in his eyes stepped forward. Lionel Messi, still a teenager, was about to face the biggest storm football could summon, the Galacticos of Real Madrid. This wasn't just a team, it was the team. A billion-dollar machine powered by global icons David Beckham, bending French kicks, Ruud van Nistelrooy, killing defenses, Ralt, the captain Guti, the magician, Ramos the warrior, Casillas the Wah. A lineup designed to terrify anyone who dared step in front of it. El Clásico wasn't football, it was war. Rage, identity, legacy, all colliding in front of 90,000 roaring souls. Ricard made the bold call. Messi would start. A teenager, thrown into the lion's den against the deadliest predators football had ever seen. But Messi wasn't nervous. No press conference, no theatrics, just calm. He arrived early, laced his boots, and trained with quiet focus, preparing for battle. When the whistle blew, chaos erupted. Messi began on the left, but he refused to be chained. He drifted everywhere, left, right, through the middle, each movement a dagger to Madrid's heart. In just 5 minutes, Real Madrid struck first blood. The Bernabeu Kings silenced Camp Nou with an early goal. But before doubt could settle, Messi roared back. At the 11th minute, Ronaldinho spotted his run and released the ball. Messi collected, shifted onto that magical left foot, and unleashed a rocket outside the box. The net shook. Casillas beaten. Equalizer. The stadium erupted. Suddenly, Madrid realized they weren't facing a fragile boy, they were facing a predator. The Galacticos tightened their grip, showing their muscle. Another golazo, another dagger into Barcelona. But Messi didn't blink. He rose again. He danced through Ramos, froze defenders, and struck another venomous shot past Casillas. 2-2-2. The stadium exploded. Yet Messi didn't celebrate. No smiles, no chest thumping. He simply jogged back, eyes burning, locked in war mode. Madrid grew desperate. They marked him with 2, sometimes 3 men. Ramos tried bullying him. Guti tried cutting off his space. But Messi floated between them like mist. Untouchable, unstoppable. Every time he touched the ball, danger loomed. The second half arrived like thunder. The crowd roared louder. Madrid fought harder. Tackles flew like weapons. Guti lined up a free kick, tension boiling. Still, all eyes were fixed on one boy in Blaugrana. A storm was brewing, and Lionel Messi, just 19 years old, was about to unleash his full wrath on the greatest empire in football. Guti's free kick curled in like a dagger. Sergio Ramos rose above everyone in the 73rd minute and thundered a header into the net. 3-2, Madrid lead. The Galacticos roared, and Camp Nou fell silent. The clock ticked mercilessly, hope fading. With every passing second, the world thought it was done. Barcelona had fought. but Madrid's empire had crushed them. Surely the little boy could do nothing now. Surely the wonder kid had reached his limit. But legends don't obey limits. The 90th minute. Ronaldinho the magician conjured one last spark. A pass threaded through steel, slicing Madrid's defense. The ball rolled to Messi. Time froze. In front of him stood the Wolves' Cannavaro, the World Cup winner, and Ramos, Madrid's warrior. Both lunged, desperate to silence the boy. But Messi wasn't a boy anymore. He was a storm. With one flick, he slipped past Ramos. With another touch, he left Cannavaro gasping at shadows. And there it was, Messi, face to face with Casillas, one of the greatest goalkeepers alive. The crowd held its breath. Messi raised his left foot. The magic foothand struck. Goal. Casillas beaten. Net rattling. Camp Nou erupting. 3-2-3 hat-trick. At 19 years old, against the Galacticos for a heartbeat, silence swept the stadium, as if no one could comprehend what they had just seen. Then, like an earthquake, the roar came. 90,000 on their feet. They weren't watching a game anymore. They were witnessing destiny unfold. A teenager, Lionel Messi, had dragged Barcelona back from the abyss. Single-handedly. Every time Madrid thought they had crushed him, he rose again, clawed again, scored again. He wasn't just matching legends, he was dismantling them, rewriting the rules. When the whistle blew, it wasn't a draw. It was a rebirth, a statement. Football had just changed forever. The next day, nobody spoke about Ramos's header. Nobody spoke about Madrid's empire. The newspapers, the analysts, the fans across the globe, they spoke only one name. Lionel Messi, Barcelona's cheat code, the chosen one. The boy who stood against giants and became a giant himself. Messi made Madrid kneel. A star had been born in Barcelona. El País didn't call him the next Maradona. They called him the first Messi. From that moment, the press, the fans, and the football world couldn't stop talking about Lionel Andres. Messi pundits dissected his third goal from every possible angle, analyzing its precision, its artistry, its sheer audacity. Fans who witnessed the magic firsthand were still in awe, while YouTube clips of the goals spread like wildfire, announcing to the world that a footballing prodigy had arrived. Camp Nou itself felt the shift. The hope that Iniesta, Xavi, and Valdez had clung to now had a name, Messi, a ray of hope, wrote El País, a light at the end of the tunnel for Barcelona. Even legends took notice. Ronaldo, Messi's childhood idol, declared him the most special player I've ever seen. Years later, Iker Casillas reflected on that night, admitting that it was when everyone realized Messi wasn't just talented, he was a monster in disguise. Barcelona, once teetering on the edge of decline, had been resurrected. Messi became both the present and the future of Barcelona. But despite the fame, the headlines, and the newfound adulation, he remained humble, silent, and relentless. The very next day, he trained as if nothing had happened. No interviews, no parades, no dramatic gestures. When asked about his first hat-trick, he simply said, "I was just trying to help the team." That is Messi, the best in the world, but humble, no noise, no theatrics. Just relentless hard work, burning desire, and unshakable purpose. Barcelona adapted around him, giving him a central role as playmaker instead of just a winger. The team was becoming Messi's, and the future would follow his lead. Camp Nou's chants shifted from Ronaldo's name to songs about Messi. A change was coming. He led not with speeches or armbands, but with vision, with creativity, and with humility. He created opportunities, dictated play, and inspired greatness in others. And yet, this was only the beginning. How would this quiet prodigy go on to become an 8-time Ballon d'Or winner, a World Cup champion, and the most complete player in football history? The answer? Not just natural talent, but an unyielding combination of hard work, commitment, and consistency that would redefine the game forever. When Ronaldinho left for Milan, a new chapter began at Barcelona. Lionel Messi inherited the iconic number 10 jersey and, from that moment, number 10 became synonymous with his name. Across the globe, children dreamed of wearing the number 10, with Messi etched on it, just as his brilliance was engraved in the hearts of millions of fans worldwide. But Messi's rise was far from instant. He trained in silence, never chasing social media fame or public accolades. In the blistering heat of Argentina, he arrived early, stayed late, and even at the peak of his career, he remains the first to step onto the training ground. Fueled by pure love for the sport, Messi played in 4 FIFA World Cups, reaching the quarterfinals and finals, only to face heartbreak, but he never gave up. He assembled, led, and inspired a team of pride of lions, culminating in victory in football's most prestigious tournament, the FIFA World Cup. After his first El Clasico, he went on to become the all-time top scorer in El Clasico history, carrying his team through countless battles while never failing the badge on his chest or the fans in his heart. Messi's genius is undeniable, even earning standing ovations in rival stadiums. He is more than a player. He is a living legacy. Football is Messi, and Messi is football. On March 10, 2007, at Camp Nou, he announced his arrival to the world. Football was his now. Critics may whisper about favoritism or luck, but a boy with growth hormone deficiency rose through determination, talent, and relentless hard work. 8 Ballon d'Ors, 35 titles with Barcelona, the most Man of the Match awards in World Cup history, most goals for a single club, most goals in a calendar year, over 350 assists, and more than 800 career goals. These numbers cement a legacy impossible to forget. Messi didn't dream of being the greatest. He simply dreamed of playing, and by following that dream, Lionel Andres Messi became not just a footballer, but the GOAT. There will never be another like him.